So today we have on the show Jane Portman from Userlist. Jane, welcome to the show. Maybe you can talk a bit about what you do at Userlist.
Thanks so much for having us here today, Jackie. Very nice to meet everybody. I'm Jane, one of the two co-founders at Userlist. Userlist is an email automation slash email marketing platform, and we focus exclusively on SaaS businesses. That's what makes it different from the rest. And I'm hoping today we can talk about our educational crusade we ended up in and all the misconceptions and everything there is surrounding us in the email marketing industry.
Great. Well, so Jane, we had a quick intro chat before starting this podcast, and you shared quite a few interesting bits around this educational crusade. Like, what were the main problems you found, like before you actually started getting into emailing? And you said, like, these misconceptions and the lack of knowledge that people seem to have.
So we've been working on it for almost 5 years by now. We've actually just wrapped up our vesting period with my co-founder lately, so it's it's like full circle now. And when we embarked on this journey, we were like, all right, we will get user behavior data into the tool, and then we can do all kinds of awesome things with it. We can do email automation, we can do in-app notifications, we can do maybe onboarding checklists. Sounds great. There are not so many tools out there that can do that. And our primary inspiration was Intercom, which at that point, I'm a designer, so it wasn't even pretty. It was very expensive, and it wasn't solving the problem well. So we're like, it's a no-brainer. And also, this was my second SaaS journey, so I thought I had known one of the mistakes from the previous one should have helped us here, but we had no idea how much complexity this industry entails, and we realized that it's very convoluted. There is a million of email marketing tools out there, and that's fantastic. That means that there is need, and once we're in, the retention is pretty good. That is was supposed to be the upside from the very beginning, and it is true. But what we didn't realize that the stickiness of the previous tool is equally strong. So the whole process of getting new customers and getting them on board and helping them do all this work, we have learned so much over these years. like from from just the technical side of it to learning how to do it best, and then now we're probably in phase 3 and spreading authority and trying to teach others how to do it best. And even though for day one we knew it's about getting people successful, so we had planned for templates, worksheets, whatever not, but this is all just busy words. And when it comes to actual process of getting the knowledge out of your head and into other people's head, and more importantly helping them act, that's where the most interesting discoveries were made.
Okay. So because you mentioned when you started, you were thinking, oh, we're going to solve, email automation, in-app like alerts, because we have all this data, and then we can have like onboarding checklists. And it sounds like in your journey, you found out, gosh, this is actually really complex. So is the primary focus for Userlist now just on the email automation part? And I say just with inverted commas, because like from what you've told, actually that just bit is in itself super complex and big already. But is that
Yes,
kind of the core focus of
for
Userlist?
positioning simplicity, we treat ourselves these days as a ESP, email service provider, similar to ActiveCampaign, Mailchimp, Drip, whatever you're used to hearing, with a strong focus on SaaS and with a strong focus on SaaS customer data, meaning we can do it really well. That's our strong side.
Cool.
Okay, got it. So is in a way, okay, no, got it.
I mean, I think when you actually, honestly, when you started talking about the intro bit of what you try to achieve, it just rings so many like bells and flags for me as well, because
Hmm.
from for our side as well on the product front, like yeah, we often see so many of these products that try and say like, just integrate with us and we can solve all your problems with onboarding and like emailing, and all your engagement needs will be solved. But I think we've yet to find a product that can actually do that. And in the end, we just have to end up building everything ourselves. Like, so all the onboarding stuff. Like, so where were the challenges? What, because you mentioned it was like it's super complex. Like, where were the challenges you found in that process actually?
So our initial conception as founders was we'll get people's behavior data in and we'll get email out. That's like the easy part. I'm not going to go into the engineering complexity that goes into building the actual behavior processing engine that processes the data and triggers emails out based on that. That like credit is totally due to my founder, and he can go in details of that front. But what's interesting is that the bit of getting the right data in, it is just so different in reality when you try to make it happen. It's almost like everybody wants analytics, but you're not sure like what exactly the analytics entails. What are the success metrics for you? What you should be measuring? How you can get that data out of your backend into our tool using what channels. And by default, it's a direct API integration, but that when you say it requires engineering effort, that's like it's already
Oh,
becomes a big
gosh.
challenge for non-technical marketers, for example.
Yeah.
So you need to figure out what are those metrics, and you need to be very specific, like what exactly the properties be, their type, whatever. And then you need to do this engineering setup work. And then you need to go into user list and do more work there. You should set up segmentation, and then you should actually go write your campaigns and set them up. And it's just a ton of very qualified work. And nobody is born with that in their brain. Like they don't teach that at school, even if it's
Yeah.
marketing school.
I mean, I actually just want to drive on this point of figure out the exact metrics to actually even look at. I mean, there's like there's so many challenges in that alone, because we've recently started doing a similar thing where we need to dig in the data and understand a certain user behavior, and the company evolves and the questions you ask changes. So suddenly someone in the team is asking a new question, and they're like, we can't answer this because we don't have the data we need. So we need to start tracking that data. And I'm like, okay, what do you want to track? Let's create a ticket and ask the engineer to see if we can look into it. And then you get the usual thing where it's like, oh, well, I'm not too sure what exactly we need to track, but here's a list of all the things that maybe we should start tracking so that we can just like, safe, future proof ourselves for future questions that we don't have yet. And you know what? This is the third time that's happened. Like, in terms of the first time, the same thing, we're implementing analytics and they're like, oh yeah, we okay, let's like track everything. We thought we've tracked everything, which is already kind of an impossible sort of milestone anyway, because we're not going to track everything. But then you get the same thing a few months later where you're like, oh, actually, we weren't tracking everything and we have all these questions now that we can't answer. So yeah, like how do you figure this out? Like, because
I'd
that's
like
the
to add my
crux, right?
yeah, my own 2 cents to that situation is that also everybody's very spoiled with products where you just plug and play a JavaScript snippet, like you just drop it in and it tracks something, and you're like, yeah, this is one click setup. Congrats. And well, the only difference is that it can only track page views and clicks, and that is no meaningful product analytics at all. And it's basically bulk of meaningless data that people are used to sifting through. Like um, the alternative would be to be more intentional about this and to understand what makes a successful user in your product, we have an example, a photo editing app called Sparkle. And so a lot of things can be already done if you just track key success / usage metrics. For example, the number of photos in the account, and the number of albums, and some feature flags on whether they're not, or whether they are or are not using a certain feature. So just a handful of things like that, plus billing related stuff, and you're already equipped for the long run. And thankfully, at least the billing side for most SaaS startups is similar. They all have probably a free trial or a freemium plan. They all have a plan name. They all have a sign-up date, monthly versus annual billing. At least Stripe and the similar made it easier on that front. So we advocate for quite a simple set of metrics to begin with, and then a few that are specific to your product that just denote like how exactly the user is moving forward with the key features of it and what's the usage.
And that's interesting how.
Yeah,
sorry.
No,
I was just going to mention that it's interesting when you mentioned that, there is plug and play analytics that you just plug, like Google Analytics is one of them. You plug it and it has all this information, all this stuff, collecting data all the time. And now what you start to see is actually SaaS products built on top of Google Analytics to actually decipher that and actually provide you useful data, because most people has exactly this problem. They plug there and they see all this data. So what, and there's another set of products who actually collect all this data again from Google Analytics and make it into something actionable. I think that's kind of the chasm that you have now, is between data and something actionable that you can actually do with that data.
Yeah, there is a term for this. It's called activating data. So you don't need just to collect it and store it, but you also need to make use of it. So we're all talking about the same thing: analytics, email automation, whatever. Analyzing, going into your analytics platform and analyzing and trying to figure out the insights, that would be activating data, or triggering emails based on that would be activating data, or whatever else. There are platforms out there like Segment and Rudderstack and others, designed to simplify and streamline the collection of data and then channeling it to different tools, analytics, email automation platforms, all kinds of attribution things, whatever you want to plug and play. That makes it easier for marketers to try different tools.
There's a large part of the educational component that you mentioned in the beginning actually related to literally these things that you've just been talking about. For example, what's figuring out the just the basic key metrics that you need, and understanding what activating data is versus like junk data that you're just storing that you'll never find useful. Because it's interesting talking to you, because like we're using segments. We've got analytics implemented, but this is actually the first time I've heard of the terminology activating data, and this kind of differentiation between data which you consider useful and data which actually you're just storing and collecting and it's probably never going to be useful. But also questioning this data that I'm storing, is it actually useful data? I'm interested in understanding how you go about defining whether a piece of data is activating, because you mentioned a Sparkle example, and for me, I'm kind of like, okay, that's super interesting. You kind of like gave this example, and you just kind of like rolled out all the key metrics that you can track. But how, for someone who's just starting their business and they're very new to analytics, like how do they go about defining these key metrics, and defining which ones are actually activating data for them? Like, is there a useful approach to doing this?
We think we know. And there are a couple of criteria for this. One is what exactly you're going to be doing with this data. So going backwards from that always helps. And one use case is for human agents, such as customer success people or anybody else who will be reviewing individual user profiles. While looking at these metrics, they need to see the full profile of what's happening. What is their status based on that? Are they using this feature ABC? What is their global usage? What is their billing usage, etc.? So you need to provide your customer success folks with the ability to dive in and see what's happening in their account. And so that's for humans. And the other part is for however you want to deploy it in automation. For the automation part, we find it most helpful to start with planning your segmentation first. Because the whole user journey is a sequence of segments they join and leave and join and leave. So first they join the trialing accounts, then they quit that segment and join the paying customers accounts. Yeah, they can be overlapping, they can be advanced paying customers and things like that. Very basic segmentation. So typically each segment has its own conversion goal. And also once they join that segment, you will be triggering some automations based on that. So the biggest problem in people's head is just lack of clarity. How exactly am I going to automate? If it's a list of data that keeps updating, like how does that ever trigger campaigns? Like how does it link? So the missing piece is that chart of life cycle segments of the journey itself and how people are moving through it. And at each segment, people will be typically receiving a campaign that you can also end when they leave that segment. So once you map out those segments, you get more clarity how you can define them now using data. So, for example, to define a trialing user or a paying account, you would need some sort of billing information. So work on that, figure out what property you need. For example, there is a property that's not very obvious, but very useful. It's called billing status versus the billing plan. So billing status can be trialing, active, past due, and canceled, etc. So based on this single property alone, you can pretty well segment the majority of what you need, define the majority of the life cycle segments. And then you need a couple of success metrics when people are using something and how much. For example, those number of photos and number of albums. This way you can define a segment of activated people who have at least one album and 10 photos, let's say. Or you can define the segment of advanced customers who are paying and have at least 50 albums in there, so on and so forth. So the secret is to think about segments first, and then how you're going to describe them using your product language, and then sort of reverse engineer that.
That's kind of as you're describing this, I can totally see what we have been doing now currently in terms of like, but the difference is that we do not have that super automated. It's more kind of using some sort of dashboard that we can filter and separate the users according to some criteria that we define, and then we act on top of it manually in a way. So,
yep.
Yeah, that's quite interesting. I think that is kind of and it's super business specific in a way. Of course, the billing thing is something almost kind of universal that you can use, and you could also have overlapping segments, no, in a way.
Yes,
that can be activated in combinations of factors, and also segments they are not necessarily fixed from the beginning. You can totally mutate and become different or be kind of different throughout the life of your application, and that's quite interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, what's one thing that's quite fascinating for me about what Jane's talking about is how actually the way you describe it, like this is quite kind of essential first principle stuff. And I'm kind of wondering why haven't I read something like this in such a clear way? Like it's almost like, because what you read about all the time is how to just collect the data, like how how to create a dashboard so you can view certain data. It's like very like everything you sort of generally read around analytics tends to be quite functional. It's tends to be more like how you go about doing something, and it's built on this premise of like get as much as you can, and then because once you have everything you need, then you can ask all the questions you need. Whereas yeah, I really like the way you describe it because it's almost like, well, you can't have everything, and it's a lot smarter actually if you first know exactly what you want and how you're going to make use of the data, and then you have like a strategy or a plan in terms of figuring out exactly what data to collect and like the nature of the data you collect, and actually defining this right from the get-go of analytics. And yeah, I feel like actually this is something we could definitely benefit doing a bit more from Bird, because and this comes down to the workflow thing actually, and I don't know if you have input on this too, because I think about how we implement analytics. Right, let's talk about like on a day-to-day practical level. It's kind of like, okay, we're building this feature. Daniel, here's the ticket. You're working on it. Daniel's almost finished with it. He's going through reviews, and he's like, should we add? Do we want to track the clicks for this?" And it's like, "Yeah, why not? Like, let's add some analytics here." And then you're tracking whether this button's being clicked, whether this page is being viewed, exactly what you described. But on a practical level, because we're constantly evolving the product, and there's always like a million features being built at the same time, then how do you factor this kind of like, you know, strategic level of analytics to everything when you also have this much kind of lower level way of working and the way analytics is actually being implemented? Like, so actually, like, maybe to put the question in a different way, if you were to advise us now, how should we like restructure how we actually tell engineers to help us implement analytics on a product basis?
You know, the funny story is that we barely had recently figured out what team member should be responsible for that, not to mention how, like, because we had assumed. So in the beginning of our journey, we thought that we're going to fill in this gap where a really affordable tool is missing for early stage founders. So we were targeting essentially fellow founders with this product and this tool, which was an incorrect assumption, because at the early stage you just don't have bandwidth, resources, and also money to pay for the tool, and most importantly, skill and appreciation for that. So then we somehow assumed that if we were to target bigger teams, then the target customer would be a product manager. To our surprise, we interviewed several people in the data industry, and we realized that it's not the product owner, product manager who's responsible for this, actually. And in the more mature version of the company, it would be a growth marketer. So somebody who mixes in marketing tactics with data. So they should be responsible for data, both marketing and product, so product-led growth, all that journey. And in smaller team, that would likely be just the marketer, not necessarily the growth team, because there is not a differentiation yet. So marketer would be doing that, which is interesting, because who else, if not a product owner, should know the product metrics? But this kind of cross-functional situation is not helping at all. Like, there is nobody trained to do this, and nobody assigned to do this, and there is no clarity at all.
I'm scratching my neck because that's exactly the situation at Bird. There really isn't anyone who's assigned this, actually, now that you mention it. And well, yeah, I mean, engineers implement it. The CTO picked the platform we use to visualize the data. The marketers, I mean, Olga, you've met. She spent a lot of time actually trying to figure out how to set up our funnel so that we have this like super clear visibility. And I think she was trying to do that in
Do you
Power
have super clear
BI.
visibility? Like,
No, because I think we have a decent level of visibility, but the problems that she mentioned was just missing data, like, and missing connections between data. So that's another thing. So you can have data, but then we have like a batch of data on the left side and a batch of data on the right side. But somewhere along the way, like using Segment or other tools, the relationship between them is lost. And it
You're
could be related to
probably
people using
talking.
trackers, like ad blockers or rejecting cookies, etc. So
Basically, we're talking now, we're opening another can of worms, which is linking marketing data to product data, right? And these are, I think the
well,
term to solve this is end-to-end analytics, and it is also related term would be attribution, and it has not been solved very well by anybody.
Can you describe a bit what is end-to-end analytics?
It's end-to-end analytics is a one of the subdisciplines of analytics in general, where we try to connect metrics from a person being a marketing lead to them being a customer, and how that is interconnected, and so that you can tailor your marketing better for finding better customers, etc., and many other things. Like in theory, it sounds amazing to have this transparency of what source is getting what, but we had at Better Than the Perfect, the podcast we run, we just lately had a fantastic episode about attribution with someone who runs an attribution agency, not agency, software. And I went into this conversation thinking, now they're gonna, inflict this sense of guilt onto all of us that we can't like attribute everything. And I was so relieved to hear that there is no recipe for attributing everything. Then, in any case, like 60% of your leads won't be attributed, and you have to live with it. You have to make sense of what you have. You have to follow your gut. You have to follow qualitative data versus quantitative. So even attribution specialists don't exactly know how to do everything perfectly. So don't fret. You're not you're not alone.
Just another question. Like, can you expand on attribution? What do you mean by attribution?
Marketing attribution is figuring out what leads came from what source, and attaching that information to every customer. So trying to figure out what marketing methods perform better.
Okay.
That is, there's so many startups targeting that and solving that problem somehow, but on the other hand, there is so many people advocating for privacy and blocking all of that. So like you mentioned, it's, as business owners, we want the data. As as practitioners, we want privacy. And like, where does that meet?
where do you think the crossover will be, where we can get some equilibrium between the two?
Well, what is it called? First party data. When you ask the user about something and you can store that, that is the most fantastic and reliable. So if you can help them during a sign up flow, let you know where they came from, how they heard about you, it's gonna be great. Like if they do tell, sure, they can type nonsense and they can click whatever, but still good to know, for example. And anything when they enter this relationship with you, this product relationship, if you do it well, they can trust you more and actually tell them about what they do and other things that can be leveraged.
Do you see this coming up more and more, the privacy issue in the side of the users, that they kind of are more and more reluctant to I don't know, using more and more ad blockers, or more and more reluctant to give information, and that's kind of causing a little bit of like data attribution issues growing? Or is it something that has always been a problem?
It's been on the table for the last 10 or 20 years, basically, with GDPR and everything. It's interesting that as soon as they enter this product relationship with you, it's another story. You can collect as much data as you want because it's all justified by the fact that you be ultimately using this data to help them better have that service. So it's another thing. For example, with with email also. You don't specifically need opt-in to send them onboarding emails. You're not like opting in to receive email communication. So for whatever happening between their sign up as a marketing lead towards the trial, for that chunk of time you do need opt-in consent and everything, and you may or you may not collect cookies and stuff, but once they hit try, uh, it's a different legal relationship, and there are different rules for that. So everybody can collect product analytics, and thankfully the regulations haven't been as harsh on that front. Once they're inside your product, you are owning the platform. That's the good news.
So there's this big difference between that. It's almost kind of like, okay, that's the ledge that they have to cross, and then suddenly everything becomes much more reachable and much easier now to deal with. That's interesting. Yeah, because what you want is people to sign up. Now that's kind of one of the biggest hurdles that they have to come up. And then after that, the next step is, okay, we want them to pay. You know? So then, but between sign up and pay, you are able to do much more than before sign up. No?
Yeah. There is probably a bit wider funnel there. When they're visitors, then you can get them on your email list. So they sign up for that first, then you nurture them, and then they sign up for the trial, the ultimate desire. And then you do your best to onboard them as customers. So actually, there are two onboarding campaigns you should be having in your email list if you run both marketing and customer email. One for onboarding and nurturing your leads, and another one for onboarding your customers.
Got it.
So I have a question that reels back a bit, but it's about when you mentioned, the best type of data is the first party data. The questions you ask during the sign up flow, during onboarding. We have a bit of that in our product as well. We collect currently your role, and then like how you found us. And then this is also an interesting thing I'd like to get your opinion on. It's like, how do you deal with this sort of the conflict between, I want people to sign up and I want to make the process as frictionless as possible, versus the other side of it, which is like, oh, but this is our best opportunity to understand the user and collect as much information as we can. So sometimes you sign up to these products and they just ask so many questions. It's like, what's your company size? Where are you based? What's your middle name? When were you born? It's like, how do you strike that balance, and where do you draw the line in, say, your products or good products you've seen?
There is no balance, and more interestingly, there is an indirect correlation. So sometimes it would be intentional so that you feel like you've contributed and you're more serious about the specific sign up. For example, we had an episode with Ashutosh Priyadarshi of Sansama, and they are a tool for like planning your calendar and your to-do list, and their clientele is busy CEOs. So how do you make busy CEOs change their behavior and adopt a new scheduling tool? Can you imagine how hard of a task it is? So one of their biggest instruments at hand is using a giant qualifying questionnaire before they even start a trial. Well, they help the person self-qualify for the problem, and it's a mix of actually qualifying them as customers, but also helping the people realize that they have certain problems with their schedule. So this questionnaire, according to what you said, it increases friction like 10x, but it puts the person right in the correct mood for using the tool after that. And they swear by their questionnaire and not going to change it forever. So it's one example. And in the same way, we have recently reworked. So we had a credit card up front at UserList for ages, and we broke so many swords talking about this, like whether we should remove the credit card and because of that friction and stuff. But ultimately, we released a new onboarding flow a few months ago, and not only it asks for your credit card, but it also asks for more information. Like we have 5 setup steps instead of like 3 previously, and we just try to make it a serious feeling sign up for people so that they're like seriously committing to something when they join. And yes, sure, we might be leaving out some Taikika leads by this, but the ones who are joining are hopefully going to be in the right mood for it.
Yeah, and that's
Mm.
kind of the difference between having the more users, but between having more users of all types, but having less users of the right type. No? And
Yeah.
this is something that when you have, for example, free trial or free freemium products, for example, you might spend so much energy on free users that are never going to pay for it too, when actually they are not they're not the ones you should be worried about. No, that's very
Yeah.
interesting that you say, okay, let's try to complicate the sign up flow, because that really shows that a person is committed and is in the right mindset. That's quite
But there
interesting.
is
Never thought about it that
another,
way.
there is another range of products that are um, maybe less setup heavy, that you can get them join with one click authentication via like their Gmail address, and you can seriously get them to value in like 5 clicks, because that's the nature of your tool, because that's what you can do. In that case, yes, don't complicate things and let them get to the value and see the tool in action. Well, when people get into userless, they're not going to see the tool in action. They're going to see a blank screen with no
With
data. So
a
it's
lot of
not,
work to make it. Yeah.
yes, it's not like this is going to be a revolutionary moment for them. There is a
Mm.
lot of work ahead. But if you are like, I don't know, SavvyCal by Derek Reimer, the scheduling tool, I'm pretty sure the
Yeah.
setup, like you can create your scheduling link in very few clicks. So
Probably
uh,
without even an account. No, initially, there's many products nowadays that
yeah,
even skip the account creation until a certain point within the product.
Yeah.
yeah.
No, but that's so interesting that like actually you have a product where it will require high effort from your users after they actually join. So you actually want to like make sure that they're users who actually have the aptitude to go through the tough setups, because if they're not even going to go through an onboarding flow, then they're probably going to give up quite quickly once you actually get them to do the work of setting things up, right?
We had a consultation with Hidden Shah at some point a couple of years ago, when we had sort of a like plateau in our product thinking, like what do we do next and stuff. And we laid out our problem with activation and stuff. And he was like, I wouldn't touch this kind of product with a 10-foot pole. Like, literally, ease of activation is one of the biggest criteria you can have for evaluating ideas. And among others, I would now say are the ability to generate qualified traffic, whatever paid, unpaid, or what, consistently. Then ease of activation, and then retention. Well, all of these three we have solved, just the retention one for now.
Yeah. So
And more or less
we
solve the traffic problem, but not the activation for sure.
Yeah, we definitely have a similar challenge at Bird. One of the things we did, so the thing is, we have a freemium plan as well, and that's because like the word of mouth aspect of Bird is very strong. So we don't really want to give up on that. So we want to get people into the product. But then we actually have the questions I mentioned on asking for the roles. We used it in a similar way to how you described, as in it's actually to prime the user in kind of understanding whether this tool is right for them. Because we remember like opening up Bird in the early days, and we started getting all these users saying like, "Oh, why is it not integrated with YouTube? Like, I can't edit the video for my game videos." And and yeah, for like Twitch and stuff like this. So it got a bit like, who's like signing up to our tool, and where are they coming from? Like, we're never really going to tailor to these people. And just by simply asking like for your role, but then using that drop down list to show, are you a product manager, are you a engineer, are you a customer support person, like already primes them to know, okay, wait a minute, I'm none of these, maybe this product's not really right for me. um yeah, like how do you in user list define activation actually? Because I think in the old days when it's all about just sign up, sign up, sign ups, people kind of gloriously or simply said, "Oh, I've got a million signups, therefore my product is successful." Whereas it's not so simple nowadays. A sign up doesn't really mean much, given that signing up to products is the norm. So you have to like have a very clear definition of what does it mean for someone to be activated. So I'm just
It's
interested in how you've defined that.
for our own product or for products of our
For
customers?
your own one, because I guess it's quite unique to different products, right? But if
We
you have a more
have
general version of it, that would be interesting to hear too.
the classic way to figure that out would be to see what actions people need to do in order to have a successful setup. And in our case, we track the key metrics are the number of users tracked, which means they are already integrated and they have the data flowing. So that shows the number of users. Then we have and the other one is the number of active campaigns, which finalizes the situation. That means that they're activating that data. They're using, sending out emails. These are two key metrics. There's a couple more. For example, the number of segments can show us how advanced they are in their like setup. Because the more segments they have, that means the more actively they're using the tool. And yeah, there's a number of other things we track. Also, for example, sending domain. It's a must-have feature flag that helps users authenticate with their domain address, basically sign emails on their behalf. It's not exactly success metrics, but with our email automation, we make sure and remind them that they fill it out because it's necessary to for deliverability.
Yeah,
So, but the core of this are number of tracked users and number of active campaigns. That would be two.
yeah.
See, it's not hard at all, even though it's a multi-step setup.
Yeah, I think for us it's similar. I think where it's kind of quite interesting is kind of also where the line blurs between activation and retention, and that's kind of roughly how we define it actually. So we sort of figured out roughly what's the point. Where does a user have to get to where the percentage of retention starts to increase dramatically? So there's like a
Like
certain number of actions.
Slack's 10,000 messages thing. Have you heard about it?
Yeah, it could be something like that. And yeah, we also managed to figure out where that sort of cutoff point is. And then
So
we've
where is
essentially,
it? I'm very curious.
so actually for us, we found if if someone has reported from 3 bugs onwards, then the chances of them actually reporting a fourth, fifth, sixth just increases dramatically. It's
Hmm.
basically the like it's around 2 to 3 bugs, but essentially 2 to 3 bugs marks the point where like they kind of get it and they're like, oh right, I know what this does. And because also Bird has a bit of a behavioral learning curve to it as well, because you're so used to just Command Shift free to take a screenshot and post it to Slack, whereas now we're asking you to go and click this extension and record the bug instead. So it's so easy for you to just return to taking a screenshot with a keyboard shortcut. So, and that's a big reason why sometimes people drop out as well. They just forget. They just go back to old habits. Yeah, and so actually that's how we've defined activation. So for us, activation basically switches directly over to retention. So if you look at it as a funnel, it kind of works that way
Yeah.
for us. Yeah.
Your product is a good example of just one core usage metric, right? You have the bugs
Yeah.
tracked, and that is it. What you have, and maybe a couple feature flags for the settings, but that's all.
Yeah. It's nice that it's simple because the simplicity is already hard enough.
But we also have something that I think that is also true for many other products, which is the team aspect. So we want
Hmm.
users to invite other users to their workspace and have that as well count as a metric. That if you invite someone else, that means okay, there's already 2 people in one workspace, and that kind of makes a lot of difference as well.
I'm glad that you touched on Teams because that's the unique value proposition of Userlist, and we haven't even touched on that. Why should be promoting it more? Basically, B2B SaaS and any SaaS that's dealing with teams, they need the concept of company level data and company accounts, so that you're not just serving a faceless list of users, but instead have the opportunity to see actual accounts that you serve.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
you're not going to be staring at a list of 500 users. You're going to understand that these are like 50 paying accounts, essentially. And
Yeah, 50 different companies.
yeah, Userlist is the only email automation tool out there that supports such model. And Intercom can do this a little bit, but it's very lightly implemented. And we can have the full range of company level data. So we may be lacking on like feature maturity on other fronts, but company accounts are definitely our unique proposition.
How is it that, like, when you say it, it sounds so obvious? It's like, I mean, we have to handle this via spreadsheets. So how is it that, given the maturity of this space, that you're the only one with this unique proposition? Because it's just sounds so like the.
It's well, I'm not going to even say that it's complex to implement, but it's also another layer of complexity for the users, because the way it's implemented is through three layers of data, three levels of data. One is on the company level, which is the majority of the metrics, to be honest, because they make sense for the health of the account and such. Another one on the user level, and then there is the third level, relationship data, which allows you to do things like many-to-many relationships between companies and users. So one user can be an admin in one account or an editor in another account and such. And we help you support that. This is not a trivial setup. And that's one. And the rest of the tools out there, not only they are too mature to introduce this complexity into their model, but also they're not serving exclusively SaaS. And for e-commerce, it doesn't matter. Like for e-commerce, you have individuals. You don't really care about teams at all. It only matters for B2B SaaS. And you can hack company level data. It's going to be very dirty and unpleasant hack with any email service provider. You can just duplicate company data onto each user. That's what you do. This is unpleasant for sure. And definitely not very far from clarity, but it's doable. And that's what everybody does. So you basically have to do all the intelligence inside your own backend and then treat the email sender as like whatever hacky solution to just get some email out.